What the hell's going on with Bitcoin recently? Why is it doing so well?
So Bitcoin is
the executive director and general manager of Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange in the world.
Why should they choose Binance?
I think 5 months from when it launched, it was number one. Binance has a fantastic resource for beginners.
Well, for me, it's all about trust. With a new industry like this, I want to work with the biggest. That's it's Binance, no doubt.
If you're building a business, you want to see long-term trends. You want to see long-term stability. Just because it doesn't quite fit in the right time doesn't mean it's the wrong idea.
Let's say, for example, I have $10,000 to play with. What would you do?
So,
what's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have a very special guest today, Alex Chehade, who is the executive director and general manager of Binance FZE. So you're basically running the show here in, do I say Dubai or the whole of the UAE?
For now, Dubai, and thank you for having me. So we have a regulated entity in Dubai, which is regulated by VARA here in Dubai for exchange trading and brokerage. And then we're soon to get a more advanced license where we'll offer many more products to retail, all crypto services.
Yeah. As I said before, I'm looking forward to this conversation because I am yet to take the leap and actually get into the crypto world. But I feel like as time goes by, I'm missing out more and more. And all the people that I'm speaking to, especially the guys who are doing extremely well financially, they have some of their funds and resources in crypto. So by the end of this conversation, hopefully I will be convinced, and I will open my first wallet with Binance.
Oh, fantastic! Let's go.
So how long have you been working with the company for?
So I've been working with Binance for about 2 years now. I moved into crypto in 2016. I was here in the UAE, and I decided, I should be concentrating on this. I'd been aware about crypto since just after the big credit crisis, when Bitcoin was established in 2009. I was trading, and all traders were very perplexed with what was happening with the markets. And this was one of the theses, this is where Bitcoin came from.
These are normal traders?
Yes, yeah. Yes. So
trading in stocks and shares?
Stocks, shares. I was trading in interest rates. My buddies were trading in oil. And so it was just part of the conversation about financial markets. We were seeing big financial players like Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, and if these guys didn't know what was going on in the markets, who does? And this was one of the solutions that came out of this.
Yeah. So how did you make that transition into working with Binance as opposed to another potential company?
So I had set up an exchange in Abu Dhabi, which is regulated by ADGM, and the now CEO of Binance used to be the CEO of that regulator. And so he joined Binance in 2021.
That's Richard Teng.
Richard Teng, yes. And he brought a few of his fellow regulators across to Binance with him. And then when they were launching or looking to set up the exchange here, they gave me a call and said, "Do you want to come join us?" And Binance being the biggest ecosystem for crypto, it felt like a great opportunity. And then the caliber of people at Binance as well really swung that for me.
So what is it that you do on day-to-day operations? What's your responsibility?
So I'm the general manager. So all of the business functions of the exchange should report into me. And I spend my day talking to regulators, the regulators in Dubai, seeing external stakeholders such as yourself, such as our counterparties as well, and managing our clients at a high level. And so, yeah, all these business functions keep me busy.
After CZ stepped down, has there been many changes in terms of how the business is operating, and how is the new CEO doing?
So he just put his blog out, first 100 days, and it's been a relatively smooth transition. My entity is distinct from the global entity, so there's been no change, business as usual for us. For the global entity, there have been changes coming in, which have been in motion for a couple of years now. So I think it was a relatively smooth transition. Richard arrived in Binance and built a reputation internally. I mean, previously he had a great reputation externally. And so, yeah, he's just got all stakeholders aligned. And yeah, we're looking to grow. The market's heating up, and we're just, happy to continue doing what we're doing. We're a user-focused company. There's a heavy bias on retail. So, it's to protect retail and keep retail users' assets safe is a heavy burden that we bear. And we're the market leader, so we need to keep pushing. So
Do you currently have 40% of the market share?
I think it's a bit more than that.
A bit more, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? Why do you think that is the case?
It's due to user centricity, right? So, but when Binance, from I think 5 months from when it launched, it was number one, which is incredible. But
was it already existing competition at that point in time?
Yeah. I mean, there were lots of crypto exchanges. Some of them are still around. I mean, Coinbase was, I think, 2013. Kraken is another early one that's still around. Bitstamp as well is like a European exchange. These guys are still doing well. Some of the other ones that were maybe as popular have gone down. But so it was still a crowded marketplace at the time, and Binance gave users what they wanted, and it was just.
I imagine what the user wants is trust, assurance, and just an app or a place that's going to just be user friendly, easy to understand, easy to operate.
So exactly.
Low headache.
So, the trust, we have a SAFU fund. So we're the only the only exchange that we have $1 billion fund that, is verifiable on chain. So you can go have a look, and that just sits there as a sort of self-insurance fund. So trust is there. The UX, the app, was incredibly engaging for people. So, they could find what they want, they could trade. And the products, that's the third thing. Binance really catered and got the right products on its platform earlier than some of the others. And, we've maintained our market share, which is incredible.
What sort of products are we talking about?
So for this, it's for the initial expansion, it was the number of assets. So I think we're around, on the global order book, about 600 assets. For Dubai at the moment, we're about 180. We're moving up in Dubai. We're probably about 250 in a couple of months. So the number of assets is a big one.
You will give me an example of an asset. And I'm going to sound really stupid because I don't know.
No, so each of these tokens, right? Yeah. So, Bitcoin.
So asset means coin.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So regulators like to call them virtual assets or digital assets. So each of these coins can be traded against like one or two different pairs. So you can trade against dollar, or you can trade against stable tokens, or even sort of Bitcoin, Ethereum is a good pair that people trade. So people have an opinion, right? So that's what a lot of these markets run on, right? It's the speculation. So it's people deciding to buy or sell.
How many active users do you have at the moment, roughly?
So we globally have around 181 million users. In the UAE, we have about 1 million.
So that's good, but there's a lot of people who are not using it, like me.
Yeah, very early days.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at social networks, you look at, things like YouTube, and the amount of people that get involved in all these news services, sites, social apps. The numbers are much higher. The penetration's there, and so we're getting there. So
is the rate of growth the fastest it's been for a while, or is it just been very steady over the past couple of years?
The rate of growth is really correlated to the Bitcoin price.
Okay, so right now,
so right now the activations are high, right? People are interested. People are asking these questions again. We've seen new movements with the ETF. So this is exchange traded funds. This is just a product that wraps around Bitcoin in this case, which allows institutions to access the market on a medium that they're used to, right? So, maybe if you do any stock trading or sort of allocation like that, the ETFs will be there. And now, in a lot of platforms, they've now added Bitcoin ETF, and you can just buy it the same as you were buying shares of Coca-Cola, for example. And that's been a big tick box because it's sort of institutional adoption. If we're allowing institutions and other sort of big funds to buy Bitcoin, it's bringing more market and more visibility to the general population. So we are seeing that
more
expansion.
confidence.
Absolutely more confidence. So this is where we've seen regulation, right? So I deal with the regulators. I've set up a regulated exchange, and early adopters don't necessarily need that comfort, but yeah, for mainstream, everyone wants that, right? Everyone understands the safety.
The early adopters tend to be more risk takers.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I imagine now a lot of people are still on the fence because they either don't understand it or they think it's potentially too much of a risk and they're going to lose their money. So your job is to try and make it as safe as a playground as possible.
So I think the job is to align with traditional finance in a way that, the regulation is to protect clients and protect customers. And that aligns with what we've got to do. I mean, for our business to grow, as you said, people need to trust the platform. So it's aligned. So we want to be regulated and we want to get to that next step. And once it's sort of somewhat globally recognized regulations, then we'll get another uplift of adoption.
Is every single transaction regulated, or is it only certain transactions that are above a certain limit or maybe coming and going to suspicious locations?
So within the Binance app for Binance FZE, the Dubai entity, all the transactions there are under regulatory oversight. For all crypto transactions, they're on a blockchain, and the blockchain is distributed on computers all around the world, and you can verify it without needing to be either of those two counterparties, right? And so all these transactions are under the spotlight in one way, shape, or form. And so we use tools whenever people deposit into Binance. We check the source, and there's a holistic picture of where the asset has been, and then we risk score it. And so that gives you that sort of comfort, and that's the upgrade, I guess, that digital assets give, is we can look down the chain. When a bank sends money to another bank, they can only see that the bank has sent it. They can't see further transactions. They can't see the sort of history of transactions, where in blockchain we can.
Okay. And I would assume there's been more pressure on you guys to make sure that everything is fully regulated, since obviously all the drama in the US and the fines were issued.
Yeah. There's Binance is number one, always has all eyes on it. Because of our market share, everyone knows Binance. So everything Binance does is looked at. And so we understand we're on a spotlight, and we sort of relish that point, because then we can be there and say, look, this is what we're doing. We have the most number of licenses out of any crypto exchange in the world, which is I think about 18 at the moment. And we're looking to do more. We're always engaging regulators. We're always engaging law enforcement. We do a lot of work with the Dubai police. We do a lot of work across the world. The guys that look at our investigations come from Interpol. They come from the FBI. So it's
not non-stop.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the number of investigations team we've got just. I think probably 10x any of our nearest competitors.
I'm obviously you're responsible and I have a great understanding of what's going on in Dubai and the UAE. Does the way Binance operate differ in different countries? And are there some countries where it just simply does not operate?
Yeah, so sanctioned countries, it's non-operational. It depends on the jurisdiction. More or less, the operations are the same. So the same model would be something like HSBC, right? So HSBC isn't in every country, but it's in a lot. And the way HSBC in UAE treats you is different to HSBC in the UK. Because they have local regulations, so there'll be slight nuances, but the standard operation of the business is the same.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's take, for example, somebody like me, the many people like me who are yet to open their crypto wallet. First of all, I want to know why should they choose Binance? And then second of all, what does that process look like in simple terms, just setting everything up?
Okay, so why you should choose Binance? I think Binance has a fantastic resource for beginners. It's called Binance Academy. And it's such a good resource, even I still use it. So it's not just for beginners, but it goes all the way up to sort of advanced levels. I'll go to check, if I don't remember or want to understand how a particular protocol works. So it's this giant encyclopedia to explain from actual basics to advance. And obviously it's written by Binance. So the user guides and everything else marry up quite well with the app. So, as you're learning, and the best way to learn is to do with Web3. You can read a lot of books, but without doing the crypto transactions, you're not going to learn. So I think hand in hand,
you could do small transactions just to get yourself familiar with everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think with BSC, one of the protocol chains, I mean, it costs fractions of a cent to send value. So, you can boil it right down. The price of Bitcoin at the moment is, I think it's about $73,000. But you can send $5 of Bitcoin. There's no issue with that at all.
Okay. Do you think, or do you worry that sometimes the growth of Binance is dependent upon how successful these coins are doing? Because you said, obviously recently with all the news about Bitcoin and how its value is increasing, has almost resulted in more people, I guess people now into the mainstream, wanting to get a piece of the pie and setting up their own wallets. Do you think if in the future, say for example, something happens, Bitcoin tanks, does that impact the growth of Binance, or have you kind of made sure that you can still grow without relying upon the success of coins?
So I mean, we've built a sustainable business, and if we're definitely not dependent on the price of Bitcoin to survive. But so by building sustainable business, and we have extremely loyal customers, so the downturns will come and go. I mean, this is standard market forces. You get upturns and downturns. That's just normal market dynamics, and it's independent for us. We had a recent downturn in crypto, and we kept our head down. We built new products. We innovated. The ethos of the company is to democratize finance and build on blockchain, and so that's sort of independent of the asset price. So it's something that doesn't really affect us.
Very quickly, guys, I want to give a special shout out to the official sponsor of the podcast, the Digital Playbook. This is something which I was working very hard upon towards the end of last year, and I'm happy to announce it is now finally available. This is something which I wish I had years ago when I was working as a personal trainer, stuck inside of a gym, and all I really wanted to do was travel the world and make money online. It'll teach you how to turn your passion, skill set, and hobby into an online money-making machine that'll give you all the financial and geographical freedom that you have always wanted. All the lessons which I've learned, all the mistakes which I've made, all the experience which I have gained, which has led me up to this point in time right now, is all inside of it. And of course, there's a private community full of like-minded individuals like myself who will be there to help each other and motivate you along your way. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, head over to thedigitalplaybook.net and I'll see you on the inside. What would you do if you're somebody like me has a bit of money on the side, just thinks, okay, let's get stuck into all this crypto. Let's say, for example, I have $10,000 to play with. What would you do if I said, here, this is my $10,000? How would you spread that?
So I'm not a financial advisor. I have to say that. Everyone does.
People are not going to come chasing after you if
No,
you
they
do.
do. So diversify, right? So this is what any financial advisor will tell you across any asset class is diversify. So you should be, I would look to buy some Bitcoin just because we're very comfortable with that as an establishment. That's sort of the conservative play within the market. You could buy a sort of computational coin. So this is like Ethereum, Solana, or Near. So these are tokens where there's a virtual machine or a computer built into the blockchain, and you can build with that computer applications. And so this is where all of the crypto apps come from. So you'd invest in some of this. You'd invest in things called oracles. So oracles are mechanisms where we look at real world data and we put it on the blockchain. So a good example, or an easy example, is you could have an oracle that looks at the temperature. So the temperature here now is 25 Celsius. So it would register out on the blockchain. So then you could then build on the blockchain a mechanism to say, right, when the temperature is 25 in Dubai, do this. Or when it's higher than 25, do this. When it's lower than 25, do this. And so that oracle is really important. We're looking now, the boom AI. So there's AI tokens. So some of these things allow you to sort of tokenize. So that's sort of breaking up the computation of AI into tokens. I think you're sort of familiar with cloud computing. So it's a similar concept where you've sort of cloud-based AI, and then you use tokens to consolidate that value and transact it. So you can buy these a bit like weather futures or futures in that sort of.
So it sounds like the person who is investing probably should do a little bit of research and just learn more about it.
For sure. You should be looking at the sort of different use cases that people are using for crypto. It's one of these things, I think, that bites people, and they get the bug, and then they just want to read more and more. And I think that's the exciting part. So, it's brand new technology. It's being built as we go. We're not totally sure what the end product's going to look like. It's definitely not finished now. And so, yeah, it's an investment in the future.
Yeah.
Similar, the way crypto was established was for sort of the masses, and it's a lot of the plays are like venture capital plays. So they are high risk, high reward in projects. So people will look at the project, they'll look at the team, they'll look at what they're trying to solve, what they're trying to build, and that the investment in a token is sort of aligned with that. And so normal venture capital investment is for, it's a closed market, right? Joe Public doesn't get to see this. But with crypto, because of the nature and the ability to access mass market, it is. And so that's where a lot of research happens.
And from my experience, I've noticed there's a lot of crypto millionaires or people who are working in crypto or they've made a lot of money from crypto. They seem to be drawn to the UAE, particularly Dubai. Now, I'm trying to figure out, is that just simply because the lifestyle is better than wherever they come from, or is it because nowhere is really sort of questioning too much about where their money has come from? It's just in crypto, so that is that they can make the transactions, or is it because of the regulations of transactions here are more, I don't know, attractive here compared to other places?
So I think the two main reasons are, one, it's a beautiful place to live, right? I mean, look where we are. There's no denying that. So it's an easy place to be. if you're trading on screen, you can be anywhere. So, pick somewhere that you like, nice weather, nice restaurants, nice lifestyle. You can go to the beach almost every day of the year. And so why would you not pick a destination like that? Same, lots of people want to go to other places where there's lots of remote work, like Bali as well. So the lifestyle here is definitely a key driver of that. The regulations here have helped. So we have had regulations in the UAE since 2019 about crypto. And that clarity of regulation is helpful. In other jurisdictions, the regulators are probably not as favorable or haven't made their mind up how to deal with crypto.
It's very slow, isn't it?
Yeah, and if that's your lifestyle, if that's your income stream, if that's what your business, you want to be somewhere that are more favorable than not, right? Network effects, right? So all the people that have moved here for crypto, they want to be surrounded with other crypto people because they get to learn, they get to find out the word on the street, the sort of extra info that's maybe not passed across on screen is beneficial. We're social animals, right? As much as some people might be happier at home by themselves, but as a species, we're much better together.
Yeah, I've got the impression and read that the UAE is very much welcoming this form of technology, and it's almost like it wants the Middle East wants to be the hub of crypto in the future. So I imagine because of that stance they have, there's a great opportunity for Binance to really grow in this region.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been very welcoming of us. We have around 600 people in the UAE in just over 2 years, which is phenomenal. Some have been hired from the UAE. Most have been brought in from around the world. So, it's, again, going back to lifestyle, it's an easy sell, easy place to hire people here. And then with that surety, definitely the leadership of the UAE are pushing for crypto, are pushing for digital assets, are pushing for these new economies to move them into the future. And so for us, it really gives us a long runway to look at, right? If you're building a business, you want to see long-term trends, you want to see long-term stability. If you're spending money on an office and looking after your staff and want them to be happy and comfortable, you need these long-term strategies to align with yours, because that's how we're going to grow the industry.
And if they're the ones that are taking that first leap, which is obviously it's a risky one, but if they're the first ones to do it and they do it right, I guess the payoffs will be huge. Is that because they're wanting to attract more wealth to the region, more business, or is there another reason for wanting to do that?
All of that. Yeah. First mover advantage is critical. And then, the UAE wants to diversify away from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So they want to bring in new industries. Dubai has done a great job with tourism. I mean, it's a wonderland here, right? And, that's in about 30 years, they've done that. And, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and UAE, I think all have departments of AI. So, there's I think Mubadala just announced a new company just focusing on AI. So they're really trying to bring new technologies and new industries here. And they're looking to sort of have this as the sort of focal point of the world, right? The navel of the world. It's easy to live here. It's easy to travel around. And that's just good for GDP here.
How does Abu Dhabi differ from Dubai in terms of the way things have been done? Because I know Abu Dhabi is definitely trying to push itself as being the financial hub of the world, but is Dubai trying to push for being the center of attention for crypto, or is it just generally the UAE as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say each of the Emirates have a different strategy. So Abu Dhabi is the capital, so lots of decisions happen around there. Dubai has established VARA, so a specific virtual asset regulator to cater and to bring in crypto companies. And then we have RAC as well, Russell Hamer, and they have a digital oasis, which is for sort of non-regulated crypto companies. So they've each, all three of these Emirates have got different strategies about bringing in new talent and new businesses.
Do you think when the casinos open, you'll be able to gamble with crypto?
Oh, I couldn't answer that.
I can't see why not. I think.
I mean, yeah, it seems very feasible.
Yeah. How have you found it living in Abu Dhabi?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I live by the beach. It's a bit quieter, and so I travel up here, and it's an easy drive. I mean, you come from London, an hour commute is pretty standard. So I'm lucky enough that I have a beautiful drive here.
Yeah, very good. I think it's still the case. I go on Cristiano Ronaldo's profile. He still has, like, literally in his bio, it's just Binance. Join my NFT journey. So I don't know how much you know about that relationship, but do you know anything? Can you touch upon it?
I have not.
Because that's a pretty good advertisement for Binance.
Yeah. I mean, he's the marquee name, right? So this is a great example of, so NFTs are non-fungible tokens, right? So whereas Bitcoin, Ethereum, the other cryptocurrencies are fungible. So, just to explain to everyone, so it doesn't matter which Bitcoin you have, they're all worth the same, and they're interchangeable and no differential between them. Okay, so for non-fungible tokens, these are unique, right? And so we've seen non-fungible tokens, they established, I think, 2017, but they really became very popular with the profile pics. People put them on Twitter, early 2021.
That's when they really took off that year.
Yeah. But after that, we've sort of, how can we use NFTs? Everyone's looking at it. And so fan engagement is an incredibly good way of dealing with NFTs, because you can issue them out to wallets. You can issue them to people. You can give special access to people with these NFTs. You can have these NFTs which are bound to the address, so you can send it to a wallet and they can't send it anywhere, so you can give it to a person and it's sort of a one issuance, or they can be traded. And so you can give market access, so you can give like ticketing, you can give endorsements. You can then, once you then give out these tokens, you can say, right, all the people that hold Cristiano Ronaldo tokens, these NFTs, you can then send them new stuff. And it's a great way of engaging people. And so, a lot of that is his willingness to experiment with this new product. And yeah, I'm not as familiar with the particular campaigns, but that's it. We're seeing this with brands as well. We're seeing this with like very luxury brands, or even Nike. They've done a collaboration where they gave NFTs out, or you bought NFTs, and then you could send this NFT to Nike, and they would give you the physical shoe that was based off that NFT. And people went mad for this, right? Sneakers are a big thing, big collector thing. So that's the next step, and it's sort of, then you can keep that transaction record, and so you know who originally bought that NFT, and you can see that the track record of where it's been sent. So you have a lot more information on your customer base, and you could just distribute like new tokens, new airdrops to people to sort of engage them.
Is it still a thing? Because I know, obviously, when they were popping off in 2021, I mean, everybody was getting involved, and there was these pictures of monkeys' faces that were selling for like millions. But is it still a thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still a thing.
It's still a thing. So there's a couple of big marquee names that are still riding high. There's one project where they actually they did a collaboration with Walmart. Someone bought the rights to them, and then did a deal with Walmart, and it's been fabulously successful. I mean, it's done a great job. And it's just about community, it's engagement. There are clubs here in Dubai where, everyone with a certain NFT can meet up and, it's sort of that community. And so, yeah, we're seeing it evolve. We're learning how to use it better. And I think airline tickets are one thing. You have a QR code on your phone. You could just do that with blockchain. And airlines are looking to sort of do that. I know both Etihad and Emirates are looking at ways of engaging with NFT. I saw Emirates were advertising for their Web3 people because, it just adds to the user experience where, you have all your tickets, your air miles on a wallet, you sign into the website and instantly it's all there. You don't have to go find your password and anything else, the faff of like resetting your password, going to your emails, it's all on your wallet. And so as the user experience gets better, it would just become easier and easier.
How would you define Web3? Because this is obviously a term which has been cropping up a lot recently. What is it?
So Web3 is the next step of web where
There's Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. I guess.
Yeah, so Web 1 is read, Web 2 is read write, and Web 3 is read write own. So you own that information.
Okay.
So, it's again going back. Web 1 is, almost like an online newspaper, right? Like just text, you go onto websites, read, no engagement. Web 2, the first part of Web 2 is comments. So you can then add your comments, you can create stories, and then things like Facebook, MySpace, where you're adding content, and Instagram. So you're adding, but it's owned by the platform, right? If they take it off, they take it off. With Web 3, that info, that data is controlled by the user, the wallet, and that's the difference. So an example I think will resonate is there is a social network protocol where it looks like X or Twitter. And so you use an app to look at the protocol. And so you post your stories, news, everything else. But you're not bound to that app. It's on the protocol. So, someone can use a different app to look at the same stuff. So that the content generator owns that address and then can move from any of these apps. If a new app comes out, and then they can port their following, they can port the data, they can port the history of what they produced to each of these platforms. So content creators is key, rather than having the power with the platforms.
I wonder if with the emergence of this, there will potentially be a space opening up for a new social media platform, or whether or not these existing social media platforms will just adapt and advance with it.
That's what happened. You have to understand with like Netflix, right? So I think the famous story of Netflix pitched to Blockbuster and got laughed out the room, right? But plenty of other industry players did pivot, and I think that's what we've seen. And the Web3 narrative really resonates with big businesses because they saw what happened to people that didn't adopt the web. They died. And so, when the Metaverse first was a big thing, again, similar sorts of time, 2000, 2001, you had bigger players willing to throw a bit of money into this to sort of experiment, right? So in the sandbox, buy some space or construct a Metaverse establishment because, they understand the need to experiment and not get left behind. And so, that's what we're seeing.
What is the current situation with the Metaverse? Are you involved with that at all?
So Binance isn't big, but the Metaverse is.
I imagine if it did blow up and take off, then there's an opportunity there for Binance to be used inside of the Metaverse.
Yeah, so we've just created a thing called Web3 Wallet. So whereas Binance, the normal app, is a very sort of Web 2 kind of interaction. So you sign in, it's on one URL, it's all on the app. So with the Web3 wallet, you can interact with smart contracts. You can You can choose the services. It's the halfway house between having your own wallet and not having a wallet like in Binance. And so you'd use that Web3 wallet to interact in the metaverse. So you can send transactions, you can buy things, sell things. Yeah, that's where we're looking.
What's your honest opinion on it? Do you think it's going to take off, or do you think it's something that kind of came about too soon? And obviously Mark Zuckerberg was really trying to push it. I mean, God knows how much money they've put into it to try and take it off the ground, but it seems like I don't feel people are ready for it just yet.
Yeah, I think people are not ready for it just yet. Steve Jobs got sacked from Apple, right? I mean, and then came back with a vengeance. So just because it doesn't quite fit in the right time doesn't mean it's a wrong idea. And then technology needs to match. Lots of times good ideas have been poorly executed, right? But it will come back. The way everyone interacts on computers is evolving. And so with generative AI now, what we're seeing, sort of the crossover with Metaverse, is you can now have like a visible avatar to talk to. So rather than type it all out, you can just speak to an avatar, and that person speaks back to you, and that's sort of like a Metaverse experience, right? That's you can put on your goggles, you can really get as immersive as you want, or you can look at it as a screen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you've seen how interactions on customer service have evolved. I mean, people get frustrated or irate with chatbots or on the phone, but the ability to have conversation with someone to fix your problems is a lot easier, right? We feel, although it'd be a little bit virtual, the empathy, right? Going back to we're social animals, you'd much rather go ask a person or a virtual person how to fix a problem than searching through FAQs or user guides, right? It's that next step, and for sure that's going to be improved and developed.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but if it's going to happen, I want to be involved somehow. Like, I don't know how I would see myself inside of there, but if there's room for opportunity, I want to be one of the first ones that gets involved.
Well, so, I mean, just imagine, right? We're building new worlds. So, that was the rush to start with. Everyone's like, well, we need lawyers in the metaverse. We need other service providers. Like even the police were asking questions like, how do we police the metaverse, right? So that expansion, is definitely going to give lots of opportunities. One example that, is just ever growing is, product placement.
Oh, yeah.
So, people are trying to do this now in games, right? So you got all these virtual worlds, you've got all these games, and you can start put advertising or displaying messaging everywhere as you do in real life. And so, you're 100xing your visible space. And
so, imagine how many people will be playing the new GTA game when that comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be a hell of a lot of advertising inside of that. I have a question for you guys. Do you take supplements? And if you do you really know what supplements you should be taking? You see, this is a problem I had for years. I would walk into a supplement store, I would buy loads of random bottles of supplements and just pop pills every day, hoping for the best. But in reality, I had no idea whether or not I should be consuming these supplements. That is where Bionic came into the picture and solved that problem. You see, I've been working with Bionic for the past couple of years, and since 2021, I've been getting my blood work done with them every 3 to 4 months. And based on that blood work, they send it off to get analyzed, and then they put together a very specific customized formula for me, which will last me for 3 to 4 months until I get my next blood work done. And honestly, it's been an absolute game changer for me. They also offer another product called Bionic Go, where all you need to do is go onto the website, fill in questionnaire, and then based on that questionnaire, they can give you your customized supplements. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest, which I highly recommend, go onto the website, bionic.com, and you can use the link in my description to get a nice little discount on your first order.
Speaking of NFTs, I saw on one of the chains, Solana, they were just doing an airdrop of Grand Theft Auto tokens.
No way. Since we're speaking about technology, in terms of AI, how much of a role is that playing within Binance? right now?
So I think there are two main things. For customer service, as I said, we're helping it deal with clients. So we actually do have all human interaction as a first layer, but behind the scenes we have tools where we have like an AI bot that runs on our internal databases, our internal FAQs, which people can use to ask questions, right? So if they couldn't solve the particular issue from first hand, they can go ask the AI bot. And so they're passing it across. So using that generative AI to look at all the FAQs, all the products, the indexing is crazy. I'm sure you've used ChatGPT to ask questions, right? It's such a powerful tool. And we have our own internally trained bot just for helping our customer service people resolve customer complaints and questions. And for marketing and content generation, it's supremely helpful. I think I read an article and someone was saying that, it's like having infinite interns, right? And so, you can start with this wealth of work, and even just aggregating, like rather than saying, right, read 10 books, you can say, right, collate these 10 books into one book and I'll read that one book, and then you create that content. So giving people that accessibility to information and consuming it and having a sort of generative dialogue with it is phenomenal. I think that's really helping us build stories and educational content.
Well, I'd love it to get to the point in particularly in my industry. I mean, I've obviously accumulated a lot of knowledge and information about how to get people into shape, how to build muscle, how to lose body fat. There's often a protocol which people can follow in order to get those results, but a lot of the time it's very specific to the individual. Certain things might not work. The nutrition programming needs to be customized. Maybe there need to be, just speaking to somebody to help motivate them every day, somebody to hold them accountable. Obviously, I can't work with everybody individually, but if I do, I get the best results with them. So if there's a way using AI to take everything that I know and then just have basically endless number of versions of myself who can have these conversations with every single person who wants to get in shape.
For sure, you can do that, right? So you can train like on your body of knowledge, right? So you could train AI on that, or what people and I guess how we use these tools, sort of at our level, is you could do all the hard work, well, a lot of the heavy lifting with the AI, and then you're the expert where you take that info and you hand it to that person. So, I'm sure you used to spend a lot of time working out programs, macros for people. You can just type all that in, bang, like 100 people in no time. And then it's up to you as the expert to say, right, well, that's not quite right for this person because I've got years of experience and I can sort of toggle that. So it just does a lot of the hard work first, and you could do that last bit of service. So whereas you might struggle for a couple of hours doing 100 people's macros workouts, it will do that instantly, and then you can spend that time looking at it and then conveying that to one of your clients and adjusting and say, okay, well, you also know what that client's experience is like, right? Maybe they've got a dodgy arm that they want to sort of, from the info you put in, the AI didn't know that, but then you do, and there's that personal touch.
You thought about, I don't know if this exists or not, but having like a inbuilt Binance coach who almost guides you on what it is that you should do and invest your money on? Or would that result in problems?
I think that's investment advice. And so, but people are looking at these things. I was on a panel a couple of weeks ago, and there was a bank that trained AI to trade. And then the regulators pulled the bank up and said, what's your trader doing here? And they were like, well, it's the AI bot. We don't like, let's go have a look. And they found out that the AI bot had learnt to trick other traders into, it's called spoofing. So that they position the market in its favor, and that's illegal. But because the AI bot obviously doesn't know, and so I mean that's sort of some of the things we need to be cognizant of, right? You need to understand.
It's not going to play by the rules unless you tell it to play by the rules.
Exactly. And then you need to keep mindful. So I think we're a little way away from that, but for the future, like for sure.
Yeah, with the way things are going, it really wouldn't surprise me if there's AI that can almost analyze everything that's happened so far and almost predict what's going to happen in the future, or even, like I said before, might not play by the book and create its own future, the future that it wants to have, and manipulate the prices.
Yeah, I mean, the current way we're looking at it is you would use it to sort of balance your portfolio, make sure you're on historic data. These are good plays to go for, but the history is difficult to predict, as they say. So I guess there'll always be that unknown. And it goes back to like how Bitcoin and everything came out of this, right? Black swan events, where these were people were using computer models for all these financial analysis before. They probably weren't at the level of generative AI, but these were models that people were running that then broke. So there's always, I think, that the ability for things to be derailed. So I think we're safe so far.
What the hell's going on with Bitcoin recently? Why is it doing so well?
So with the ETF, so we talked about it before. So the ETF is allowing institutional investors now to invest. Now, lots of institutional investors have mandates for what they need to invest in, and they also look at something called modern portfolio theory. So and Bitcoin is not correlated with stocks or other financial assets. And so if you invest a percentage of this non-correlating asset into your bundle of assets, your portfolio gives better risk-adjusted returns. So you're decreasing your risk and you're getting better returns. So, big firms like BlackRock are now allowing their clients and their funds to invest in Bitcoin. And that's the bid. Right, so this institutional money is now coming in,
and there's a limited amount of Bitcoin, so it's more demand.
It's a limited amount. There's a fixed supply on a daily basis, but more or less, as they say, more buyers than sellers, so it's going up.
How much money are we talking that they're
usually a couple of % of the funds, right? But we're talking like $1 trillion funds, so it pushes the market. And so we also have another event called the Bitcoin halving. And so for Bitcoin, for the transactions to get approved, the global network needs to approve them, and then this Bitcoin miner fixes the block and they get a reward of Bitcoin. And to fix the release and the fixed supply of Bitcoin, that needs to drop, and it drops by 50% every few years. And so that's happening as well. So what that means is the Bitcoin miners will receive half the rewards that they receive prior to that. So I think we're at 6 now, or 6.25. So it will cut that in half to just over 3. And so that obviously changes the economic play of Bitcoin mining, because your block rewards have halved. So that has an interesting dynamic with Bitcoin price, right? Because the number is set, but the price is not. And then the cost of acquiring those Bitcoins is based on real world things like electricity and computer hardware.
Where do you see it going? The price? So I've seen people on social media saying it's going to be passing the $100,000 mark.
Long term, I'm very bullish. We're at 73,000 now, so another 25% up is $100,000. So that's pretty pretty realistic even within this year. And long term, as long as there's no alternatives, it should be a sort of progressive increase, because as you said, it's finite, right? And I think there's 7 attributes of money, which Bitcoin that does tick the box of all 7. So while it exists and people believe in the value of it, it will be around.
By alternative, what do you mean? Like, what could be a potential risk?
Well, so Bitcoin was invented, right? It was established new. It has its pole position by being the first, but that doesn't mean that there can't be something to supersede it, right? So you probably saw WorldCoin. So this is Sam Altman's OpenAI coin, right? And so they were like, okay, how are we going to do our sort of distribution event? They did iris scanning. So they said anyone that scans their iris, it gives them a unique address, and we'll distribute them some tokens. Some people hate that because it's scanning everyone's iris for money. Other people will say, well, it's at least a unique way of distributing it to the population. So a mechanism for distributing these tokens, which can then act like money, isn't far-fetched. You just need a way to do it, right? In the US, people have social security numbers, so you could give out like a fixed deposit to each of these people. I think we all have Emirates IDs here in the UAE, so you could give sort of a value, and then that value could be either self-contained in UAE, or if you're outside of UAE, you still understand that spending money in UAE has value. And so like there are possibilities of new technologies coming and superseding this for sure.
And in terms of the creation of new coins, I mean, I don't know how much you know about this, but if there is an individual or an organization that wants to create their own coin, first of all, how complicated is it to do that? And then second of all, how do they go about getting that coin onto a platform like Binance?
So it's incredibly easy. You can, before OpenAI and generative AI, you can go to Medium, spend about an hour reading about it, buy a particular crypto, so you need to pay gas. So this is just like an execution fee. So you write a bit of script, you put it on the blockchain, you pay money, and you create your tokens. It's as simple as that. That's obviously as simple as it gets, and you'd create all these tokens. Now, going back to what we were just talking about, like distribution, what gives this token value? That's interesting, right? So that's where we're getting these projects that you might want to invest in, or there's a use case. So take a look at your podcast, right? So you could create a token. You could then distribute that to all your users. You could say, anyone that's watched it can share an address. You can distribute these tokens. And then these tokens could be then used to vote for the next person to see on the podcast, or the next subject. And your podcast becomes the 2x of Joe Rogan. And these tokens are worth a ton, because everyone wants to vote, and presidents are coming on, and so that mechanism adds these values to these tokens, and these tokens can be traded. Maybe you can give other benefits to having these tokens, like exclusive events, exclusive content. And so you see that now we have a token that's worth something. Going back to how to get listed on Binance, that's a question I get asked every day. So Binance.
How many coins or tokens do you have on?
So I think on the global company it's about 600.
Okay.
So we have become much more conservative with what we let on Binance, because say we're the market leader and we need to protect users. So there's a long drawn out process. Getting more like traditional finance, right? If you want to IPO, it's a long journey of getting validated and audited, and financials getting sent to other auditors. and it's now the analogous in crypto. So we will look at the project, we'll look at the founders, we'll do due diligence on the founders, we'll look at what the project's doing. Does it align with our values? Is it bringing good? Does it work? Is there a use case? I think there's about 14 attributes that we look at. And then once it gets past that, so there's the gatekeeper, it looks at that, then it goes to another committee who will then decide on, is this right? Do we want to list it? And then it will get added on. I think the process takes about a couple of months.
So it's easy to create a coin, but to get that coin onto Binance is a little bit harder.
A lot harder. A lot harder. But they say people are, with NFTs or tokens, people create communities, right? And so let's have a quick.
A lot of celebrities and social media people, they've created their own coin, hyped it up, created demand, and then they spike the price. And what's that, pump and dump?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's that's what annoys people like us that are trying to build real products and use cases, and it's illegal. So it's illegal in a lot of places. So what you see, and we go to sort of like meme coins, right? So this is like tokenized communities or tokenized social activity, tokenized groups. So they don't have as established use cases some of the other things we talked about, like computers, AI, oracles, but it's just market forces and community.
Okay, that makes sense. What does the future of Binance have in store? I guess particularly in this region, what in particular are you working on?
So we are pushing many more products onto the platform. We want to get as many products regulated on the platform. And the end goal there is to sort of create a super app, right? And I think the goal is, on Android phones especially, when you buy the phone, there's a few pre-installed applications on there that are not run by the OS. And that's definitely the goal. And, we want to be that app, and you get your new phone and you sign in, and then it gives you everything you have, right? It gives you all your assets, gives you abilities to access these decentralized apps, decentralized social apps. It gives you ability to send money to your friends and family. It gives you ability to trade. We have a news feed now as well. So just that access point, that sticky app, which we're seeing. Maybe the gateway to Web3, right? So maybe that's the sort of future goal is, when you sign in, all your airline tickets are there, every sort of interaction, your socials are all connected to that app. And
so it's like, if I was to compare it to something like Dubizzle here, and you go on there and you can pretty much buy whatever you want or sell whatever you want. Is that something we talk about different?
As a marketplace,
you don't want to be a marketplace.
No. So we're a marketplace for virtual assets.
Yeah.
But I guess if you look at Dubizzle, right? So I believe, and don't quote me, Dubizzle was like a classified ads to start with, and then they add like a niche of cars and then property, and I think they're ever expanding, right? And they've got a user base, they've got the brand, they've now got the technical resources and the capital to keep adding. So it's more like that. It's more adding to the ecosystem. And we're centered around Web3 ecosystem, whereas I guess Dubizzle, I think, is more just transactions from that marketplace.
And I guess as well, you just want to attract as many new users as possible, and then maybe convert maybe people from different exchanges onto yours. Is that an easy process to move over? Or do you find when someone signs up to a particular exchange, it's like, okay, I'm on there and I'm pretty much going to be there forever?
I think that depends on the person to person. The sign up is sort of standard. There's no sort of shortcut to sign up because there's no sort of information sharing between these entities. Same in banking, right? If you want to go to one of the EMBD here now, you can't say, well, I have an account at HSBC, talk to each other. They don't do that, right? So it's, yeah, the sign-up process is fixed, but then you can transfer your assets freely back and forward. Some people might use 2 or 3 different exchanges depending on what they want to use them for. Again, go back to sort of the Bizzle, right? You might use Bait or to find a property to rent and to buy in the Bizzle. Yeah, they're not exclusive.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about time I finally did it. Don't want to get left behind. I feel like the more that I choose not to get involved with it, I just feel like I'm turning into an old man who's just not with the times. Of course, I'm going to have to do my own, and I have been doing it a little bit more research and reading into it, try and understand it. Is there any particular resources or sources of information that you recommend people look to just understand the basics?
Yeah, so I'd say the Binance Academy is great.
And that's inside of the app itself?
No, it's external.
Okay.
So anyone can look at it. There's no obligation.
Free?
You sign up,
Pay?
all free.
Yeah.
All those pages are free. Again, to push Binance. So, we do research. We have a big research team, and they release papers, I think monthly. And these are more in depth, but you take what you need from these things, and they go through different sort of the different types of crypto that are around, what they do, how they're emerging, how they're using real world technologies, how they're sort of building different ecosystems, and that they're really easy to read and consume. So I'd implore you to go look at that.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming down. I appreciate your time. I've certainly learnt a lot from this. Hopefully it's been useful for a lot of you guys who are like me, on the fence, thinking about getting involved. Feel as though Binance is the place to start.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you
very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.